to talk about the Catholic understanding of non-Christian religions. What is the Catholic attitude toward non-Christian religions? There's one school of thought that says, if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. But that is not what the Catholic Church thinks, and it's just really, really important that we make that clear. But it's not anything goes either. We do care. So I'm going to outline for you the views set forth by the Catholic Church in the Second Vatican Council document called Nostra, Aetate, the Declaration on the Relationship of the Church to Non-Christian Religions. It was assigned for you to print that out and bring it to class, but I would understand if you don't have it because you didn't look at it. But does anybody have a printed copy of it with you? You want to go get it, Alexis? That'd be awesome, because then we can actually take a look at some of what it says. Because this is a Catholicism course, I should probably teach you a few Latin words that you can throw around and impress people with. So the words Nostra Aetate mean, you hang on to it, I have a copy, in our time. Vatican documents, the Vatican is kind of like the headquarters of the church. Everything is written in Latin. That is a holdover from the Middle Ages, but it has the benefit of, since nobody speaks Latin anymore, it's not anyone's language. So it kind of makes things neutral. So documents are written in Latin and then translated into a variety of languages. If you go to the Vatican website, which I want you to do at some point this semester, you'll see that it has a variety of languages there you can look at. Question?
Well, this kind of has to do with the Latin.
Yeah.
Like, everyone says it's like a dead language already.
Because nobody speaks it anymore.
Yeah, but what about the people that learn Latin in high school or something?
Yeah, I learned it in high school for 4 years.
That's what I don't get. Like, people learn how to speak it, so.
I learned it mostly to read. Now, it's interesting that you say that because at the Second Vatican Council, let me bump ahead a couple slides here. If you look at the front page, the last slide on the front page of your handout, you'll see a picture of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, this huge church building in Rome. All of the Catholic leaders from the whole world, like 2,400 people, were in this building holding a conference called the Second Vatican Council. Councils are how the church makes major decisions. There have been 22 of them throughout history. They actually use Latin to interact with each other because they spoke so many different languages. So Guillermo, in the church, you're right, Latin's not a dead language. It is actually the language of the church. And you used to have to learn it to be a priest. I don't think they make people do that anymore. So that's what that is. I've also got a link to a clip. It's kind of a joke, but it's a trailer somebody made as a college project that portrays Vatican II as a movie. But he wove together documentary clips that show the bishops at Vatican II. And it's fascinating to look at because you can see the diversity, that they really did come from all over the world. And it was an extraordinary event. There was nothing like it at the time except the United Nations. It was a truly global meeting. We'll get to that in a bit. First, I want to clarify some terminology. Okay, so repeat after me. Nostra Aetate.
Nostra Aetate.
Now you know some Latin. So Nostra Aetate refers to the Catholic Church's declaration on how we should think about non-Christian religions. Take notes, there will be a quiz afterwards. Real short and simple, but just to get the basic ideas here. So first, some clarifications on terminology so that when we use these words throughout the semester, we're using them correctly. Religions are faith communities that have completely different origins. They come from different places and different times in history. Christianity is a religion. Islam, Buddhism, a variety of indigenous religions. What else did we talk about last class? Hinduism. Those are different religions. So it's important to be aware that these are faith communities that are completely different. Now, Catholicism is a part of Christianity. A lot of people don't realize that. I've heard people say, are you Catholic or Christian? It's like, yes. You know, you're both, really. Just like bananas are fruit. Interreligious dialogue is when people from different religions talk to each other to better their understanding of each other. It's happening all over the world. This is a global movement. You never hear about it in the news because the news media want to portray religions as divisive and causes of conflict, but they don't have to be. A lot of people from different religions are actually working together and talking to each other and trying to increase mutual understanding. So when people from different religions talk to each other, the goal is not to bring about one religion. That is not going to happen. It's to understand each other better. I've been active in Muslim-Catholic dialogue, personally, myself, for a while. Denominations are splits within a religion. All of the world's major religions have some kind of divisions between them. So in Christianity, there are Baptists, Methodists, Catholics, Orthodox, Evangelicals, Church of Christ, Pentecostals, probably 100 million different denominations, but they're all Christian. They're all Christian. So when we talk about the denominations of Christianity, don't call them religions. So we won't say the Baptist religion or the Catholic religion. They're denominations. They're all Christians. It's really important. When Christians from different denominations talk to each other, the goal is to bring about unity. We want the church to come back together. Some denominations already are. That's called ecumenical dialogue. The word ecumenical has two different meanings, but one of them that you need to know, probably put it on the final exam or ask you about it or something, is it's when people from different Christian denominations talk to each other to try to bring about unity. So Nostra Aetate, in our time, is a document that was produced by the Second Vatican Council. It took 3 years for the bishops to hash out the wording of this document. It started as a document on the Jews because Christians in Europe were concerned about anti-Semitism. The Second World War and the Holocaust had just happened. And the Catholic Church was looking at that and saying, that's partly our fault because of our attitudes toward the Jewish people. We've got to change that. However, bishops from other parts of the world, Asia, Latin America, Africa, were saying, that's not our problem. There aren't that many Jewish people here. We don't have a problem with anti-Semitism. But we do have all these other religions. So if we're going to talk about Judaism, well, we got to talk about Hinduism. And we got to talk about Buddhism. And we got to talk about indigenous religions. So those bishops were saying, let's do a document on all of the religions and work out how do we as Christians think about them? How are we supposed to understand them? So that's what this document is really about. It is the basis for interreligious dialogue today, and it's the basis for how the Catholic Church wants its members to treat people of different religions. These are some of the questions that the document tries to address, and some of them will show up on the quiz. Why should Christians care about non-Christian religions? That's the first question. Alexis, when you're finished writing, since you have the document in front of you, would you be willing to read off just the first sentence? This is the answer to that question.
In our time, when day by day mankind is being drawn closer together and the ties between different peoples are becoming stronger, the Church examines more closely her relationship to non-Christian religions.
Good. So that's a reason for doing this. We live in a globalized world. No one can sit in their little comfort zone anymore. When you're out there, you're going to be rubbing elbows with people of all different faiths. And just in Northwest Indiana alone, there's a growing Muslim population, a growing Hindu population. You might occasionally meet a Native American person. So it's really, this question is going to be in our faces. We can't avoid it. How do we think about it? Okay, next sentence, Alexis.
In her task of promoting unity and love among men, indeed among nations, she considers above all in this declaration what men have in common and what draws them to fellowship.
Terrific. So the second reason is the church is supposed to create unity. We're not supposed to make people hate each other. It's our job to create one human family. So instead of allowing misunderstanding to continue, the church has the responsibility to try to make sure Catholics understand different religions in order to bring people closer together, to create peace and understanding and not conflict. Thanks, Alexis. So these are the two reasons why the church thinks we need to understand this and think about it. Second, what is God's attitude toward the human community? This is theological. The bishops are trying to point out that we are one human family. That we constantly come back to that idea. We're one human family. Whether you look at it religiously or scientifically, humanity has only one origin. We all have a common ancestor, probably a woman in Africa, I don't know how many thousands of years ago. If you look at it religiously, obviously the one God created us all. So we're one human family, and we have one destiny. We're either going to make it as a civilization, or we're going to blow ourselves up and go extinct. But either way, we all depend on each other. We all have one shared future. So we're one. God is our origin and our goal. And we hope for a future of justice and peace. That's the Christian hope. It's the central Christian message. From a theological perspective, we ask, what is the purpose of religions? Why do they exist? This document is saying, it's not that religions exist to create rules for society. It's not that religions exist to impose restrictions on people. Religions exist to respond to the deepest human questions about the meaning of life. That's really what they're for. And if they're not doing that, they're not doing their job. If we can look at religions that way, that helps us to be open-minded to the variety of beliefs found throughout the world. Each religion has some answer to a human question. What is death in the afterlife? Where did we come from? Where are we going? What is love? What does it mean to have a real relationship with someone? Is it possible to make a lifelong commitment to a spouse? Should we have one wife or should we have 4? So religions try to answer these deeply human questions, and that's how we look at them. The bishops in Nostra Aetate then go on to examine a variety of religions. They don't just want to paint all religions with one broad brush. This is actually really important. They want to try to say something about each one. Since it's a short document, they can't say a lot. It's kind of like what we did last class, where we looked at a snapshot of each of the great world religions that we consider. That's kind of what they're doing in this document, exactly the same thing. But they're doing it in a really open-minded and non-judgmental way. So, maybe we kind of need to answer this question. What are some characteristics of diverse religions? You might want to write some brief notes into your handout, at least if you don't have the document in front of you. Indigenous religions are the world's most ancient. And the bishops point out that they have a sense of the divine presence in the world. This is how they say it. From ancient times down to the present, there's found among various peoples a certain perception of that hidden power which hovers over the course of things. So in indigenous religions, God is often found in the natural world and in the cycles of life, birth, coming of age, marriage, and death. So indigenous religions are the oldest religions, and they're very, very close to the natural world. God is often seen to be in natural things. My husband happens to come from an indigenous culture where a lot of these old beliefs and practices are still there. Then there's Hinduism. Hinduism sees the divine in many different gods, the gods of many different mythologies. I think we talked about Hinduism, correct? A little bit, yeah, in class, so we did talk about it. And when the bishops talk about Hinduism, they talk about contemplating the divine mystery through an abundance of myths. There are 30 million gods in Hinduism, that's what Hindus will tell you. So they have myths, but they also have a very profound philosophy. So Hinduism contains both myth and philosophy. It's the oldest religion that has a sacred text. Buddhism, which we just spent a little bit more time on, Buddhism realizes the radical insufficiency of this changeable world and teaches a way by which people may be able to acquire a state of perfect liberation. So Buddhism is the quest for enlightenment, the quest for freedom from suffering, and the bishops recognize that. The rest of the document is devoted to the three monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All three of these religions believe in the one God. Judaism is the oldest. Christianity has its roots in Judaism. We came from Judaism. Islam also believes in the one God. But Muslims don't believe that God is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So these three are the monotheistic religions. All three believe in one God. And just be aware that historically Christianity comes from Judaism. It's really important. What religion was Jesus? Jewish. Presumably he's still Jewish. His Jewishness didn't go away when he rose from the dead. So yeah, his apostles were Jewish. So it's kind of like, duh, we can't look down on the Jewish people if we really think about it. We view Islam and Judaism as being kind of the closest to us. What time is it?
3.
It's exactly 3?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, decision to make. We'll put this on hold for now. We'll wrap it up so you can stop the video.